Hi, Jeff Bridgman here of Jeff R. Bridgman American Antiques in York County, Pennsylvania. I've come here tonight to tell you about this wonderful carved American eagle of exceptional form and a real early one, dating somewhere between, say, roughly 1830 and 1850, could be earlier, um, and of huge scale. It's even bigger than it probably appears here. I mean, obviously it looks large right next to me, but it is almost 6 feet in wingspan. So, if I get here and I stretch out just as far as I can go, I can just about get to each wingtip of the bird. So it's really a big guy. He's about 17 inches deep, 2.5 feet tall, about 30, a little less than 30 inches tall, and 68 inches in length. Now, carved of a softwood, he's very, very much three-dimensional, being that deep. Several pieces of wood are put together to make him, is very typical of this type of carving. And I'll come in and show you at the end some of the factors of its construction, what it looks like on the back and all of that. Who carved it? It's hard to tell. There aren't many known carvers of eagles. As much of a prominence as they have in early American folk art and in American history on the whole, we don't know most of the guys that carved them. Most of us have heard of John Haley Bellamy. If we're in the antiques world, he's the most famous of them. There's another guy. He worked in Maine and New Hampshire and Massachusetts, and we know George Staff now, not for a long time, but for the past 10 or 15 years, people have known who Staff was. He was a Harrisburg, Pennsylvania carver. And past that, how many guys do we know that really carved eagles? Well, in Massachusetts, in Salem, there was another gentleman by the name of Samuel McIntyre, who was one heck of a carver. We know that William Rush of Philadelphia carved birds, but the documented examples are so different from one another that in his case, as well as really in McIntyre's, although you might be able to pick him out easier, there's no real way I can tell you for sure that this isn't a Rush eagle. Could be. It's probably not. Could be. We know that at least in one of his birds, he did this sort of rock-like base. Bellamy was even known to have done that, I believe. And anyone could do it, and it does seem to be something that people copied. But most of the birds that I've seen are different from one another in the treatment of the feathers and the wings and etc. So it is really difficult to actually tie one to a particular maker if it's not a Bellamy or a Staff. Very difficult. Now, that doesn't mean that a bird isn't worth a lot if we don't know who the carver is, because if it's great, it's great. And that's what it really comes down to in American folk art. Yeah, it's nice to have a name, but it's better to have a great bird than it is to have a name, and that's certainly present here. One thing that I really like about this particular example is its wonderful dry patina, and the great sort of reddish color that comes through from the softwood that together really make it wonderful to look at. I tend not to buy a whole lot of things that aren't painted, but if I do, this is the sort of surface that I want them to have. Dry, early, interesting, or very dark patina I also like, but this is kind of an unusual purchase for me because it's not painted and it's not dark. I tend to like that. This, however, I was instantly drawn to because it has that great dry early New England type patina. Now, where was it done? Hard to say also. Somewhere in the Northeast, I would say, for sure. Pennsylvania, New England, either are a possibility. It's probably not from outside the Northeast. I really love the way that the head of the bird comes so far extended. The beak is really well done. I like how narrow it is and the big eye. It's a warlike looking eagle, which I also like. And I love the treatment of the feathers coming back through the neck and the way that's worn over time from the elements. It was definitely outside for a long period of time, and that's how it developed this great color and patination. So let me bring him into you and show you a couple of things quick. If you look on the top, you will see, it's a little creaky, there are these great big square nails. You can see one right there, and you can see some over here as well. Look at the heads on those things. Huge, huge square nails that help hold it together. Some remnants of paint on the reverse. Now you can see here that there is a peg or post that has been cut off. It has a little white paint on it there. That came out of whatever sort of structure that he was on and probably held him in place. And that could have come up out of a pilot house, for example. That's certainly a possibility. If I turn him around here, and you can see just how wonderful the carving is. Look at the head. Look at how wonderful the wings are. I mean, this is really a beautiful thing. Surface is tremendous. Love the three-dimensional form. Look at the patina. It's just marvelous. So in today's marketplace in antiques, you'll see a fair number of eagles at sales, and almost all of them are basically new. Eagles are so popular now, and there's such a disparity between new ones and old ones in terms of what's available, and even fewer great ones, that almost everything you see is new and not really worth owning. By new, I mean 1950s or afterwards. There are a lot of great forms that were produced in the 50s and after by Artistic Carving Company in Boston that kind of copied the general Bellamy form. But if you want something great, and you want something early, and you want something to really make a statement in your collection, boy, this is it. This is a great one. On the top of a tall chest, for example, this would be wonderful. You could have a mount made. We can have that made for you. That could attach to your wall. It is just a wonderful, above a huge flag. I always try to get people to put eagles above a wonderful flag because the statement of the two together is just marvelous if you have the space. So thanks for joining me today to take a look at this guy, and I'll see you next time.